Hello everyone. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about integrating your turn signals to your pegs. And we're also going to be talking about whether or not you should sand or prepare all the chips on your paint before you dip them. So let's just get right to it. From this angle, it's almost impossible to see the paint chip. However, that's not always the case. This is the same part viewed from a different angle, and as you can see, the paint chip shows up more. Here I made a scratch from the top of the peg to the bottom of the peg, and the dip was able to cover the lighter side of the scratch, but not the heavier side of the scratch. So what does that really mean? Well, what it means is that the deeper the scratch, the more difficult it's going to be for dip to cover that scratch. So I suggest that you prep it or sand it or something like that so that you're not going to be able to see those once you've dipped the surface. Now I'm going to walk you through the steps so that you can integrate your blinker to your peg. If you plan on painting your foot pegs, I suggest that you take them apart by removing that C-clip and making sure that you have all these parts in order so that you know how to put them back together. Measure a flat surface on the rear of the peg so you can drill your holes. I used a piece of tape as a stencil so that I could make my markings there and then transfer them over to the peg. I found the center line of the peg and marked it with a straight edge to ensure a straight line. I repeated the process on the flat surface of the peg that faces the outside of the motorcycle. Once you've drilled all the holes, this is exactly what your piece should look like. I decided to paint my pegs for contrast. In order to get the LEDs to fit right, I actually had to trim mine a little bit, but maybe you don't have to do that if you take the right measurements before you order your LEDs. With the help of some super glue, I got the LED strip to stay in place, and then I had to use some masking tape to cover up any of the gaps that were in the back. If you don't prevent the light from escaping from the back of the peg, the project just doesn't look complete. Now just tuck away any wires and reinstall your pegs and you should be done. Alright, so this is the final product. And again, I'm sorry I didn't do the wiring, but this is not meant to be motorcycle specific. This is just going to be a guide. If you use LEDs like I did, you're going to end up using a resistor to slow the blinker down.